everyone, it's Hailey, and today I'm going to be doing my November wrap-up. So November wasn't the best reading month for me. I got into like a really weird reading mood where I just wasn't really being captivated by anything. It was taking me a really long time to finish things, and I just couldn't really get into it, so I ended up going completely off of my reading schedule, and I only ended up reading 6 books, 7 including one that I've technically finished in December, but I'm still including it because I feel like it. But I don't know, it was just a really odd reading month. I just feel like I need a really good book, and I just haven't been interested in anything lately. Like, I've been really picky, and I don't know, I'm just in a really weird spot. But we're going to talk about what I did end up reading in November. And as per usual, if I do have any reviews for these, they will be linked down below. I am still in the process of catching up on a bunch of reviews though, so I don't even know. There might be some, there might not, who knows. So the first book that I ended up finishing in November is Labyrinth Lost, and this is by Zoraida Cordova, and I had really mixed feelings about this book. I read it around the end of October, beginning of November, because it's a story that's kind of like Halloween-y, and it has to do with Day of the Dead, so I read it around that time, and I just wasn't really thrilled with it. I did like the diversity in it. I loved how it was a really diverse read, which is something we need more of in YA, so I was really excited about that. But at the same time, I felt like the world had the potential to be really amazing, but ended up being kind of lackluster, and I didn't really care for the characters. The story took a really long time to kind of get going, so I just kind of had a lot of trouble with it. And I did like the concept because it's about this girl who it's kind of like the Wizards of Waverly Place movie. She basically wishes that she doesn't have magic anymore, and it ends up banishing her whole entire family to this kind of underground area. So she's going to save them. So it's kind of like a grotesque Wonderland, but calling it that, I mean, I had heard someone say it was very much like Alice in Wonderland before, so I had really high expectations, but I didn't really get that many Alice in Wonderland vibes, except for the kind of like through the rabbit hole thing to this kind of underground place. That was really the only thing that gave me those vibes. But I don't know, I just didn't end up enjoying this as much as I thought I would, so I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars. Then after that, I ended up reading Roseblood by A.G. Howard. This is a Phantom of the Opera retelling that is coming out in January, and thank you so much to Indigo, the bookstore that I work at, for sending this to me. I was really excited to receive this, and A.G. Howard is the author of Splintered, which is an Alice in Wonderland retelling, and I really enjoyed the first book of that one. I didn't really like the second two because they were very, like, it almost took too much of a juvenile turn, and I just didn't like the direction the story was going in, but I did really love the first one. But this one, I'm not familiar with the Phantom of the Opera story. Like, I know kind of the bones of it, but I've never seen it. I've never seen, like, the movie. I've never read the books, none of that, so I'm not that familiar with it. So I wasn't really worried about that going into this, but the thing is, A.G. Howard is an author who really likes descriptions. She's very good at describing things and kind of painting a picture. That's really what she does, is paints a picture of what she wants you to see. And I do really love that, but I was not in the mood for that when I read this book, so it was kind of painful to go through it. So this one I'm actually planning on rereading this month because I think I'll like it a lot more when I'm actually in the mood to read it, because I just wasn't, and it was just a real struggle for me to get through it because of that. So I think I'm going to give this one another shot, because for now I only gave it 3 out of 5 stars, but I do really think that I might enjoy it more if I reread it while I'm kind of in the mood for a fantasy with lots of description. Then after that, I ended up picking up The Female of the Species by Mindy McGinnis. This is one that I picked up when I went to the bookstore that I work at, Indigo's home office up in Toronto, and this one I had heard is like an amazing book. It deals with really important topics, and I had been really intrigued by the cover ever since it came out. So I ended up reading it, and I really liked it. To be honest, half of the time I wasn't really sure what I was reading, where the story was going, but it kind of worked for the storyline, and it deals with some really important issues, things that really need to be discussed, and I just really appreciated the way that it did that, and I think the writing was fantastic. I really enjoyed the characters. They were quirky, they were weird, and they got, like, you could tell that this book was trying to get a message message across, but it did that in a way that wasn't slamming you in the face with it, but it also did ensure that you got that message. So I did really enjoy this one, and I ended up giving this one a 5 out of 5 stars or a 4.5. I can't quite remember. Then after that, I ended up picking up Scythe by Neal Shusterman. This is Neal Shusterman's most recent novel, and it is another dystopian. He is the author of the Unwind dystology, which I've only read the first one for that one, but I did really enjoy it. I just don't really want to continue with the series because I liked the first one and that was fine. I don't know, sometimes I do that. But this one takes place in a world where there is no disease, there's no, like, no one dies naturally. So these people become scythes and they are charged with killing people to keep the population down. So the two main characters are becoming scythes apprentices. So they are training to be scythes, and you see them like in this world. It's so weird. You see them figuring things out, and it was just a really cool story. The concept is really killer. Da-na-na, you got that classic pun, but it's a really great story. I really enjoyed this, and I ended up giving this one a 4.5 stars, I believe. After that, I ended up picking up Three Dark Crowns by Kendara Blake, I believe is how you say that. I had been saying Kendara Blake, and then I saw a couple videos that she did where she actually says her name, and I was like, oh, I've been saying your name wrong for forever. But anyways, this book, the concept so intrigued me, and then I ended up receiving it in the Owl Crate for, I think it was September. Yeah, this was, I'm like 90% sure this was the September Owl Crate book, but it's like about these triplets who are queens, but only one of them can actually survive and be the queen, so they grow up separately and then they have to like kill. It's really weird, really intricate plot, but so cool. And my sister had read this and really enjoyed it, and I read it and I did enjoy it, but the thing was, it was so slow in the beginning. I had a really hard time sticking with it to get to the payoff in the end. I just felt like I was kind of crawling through sludge in the beginning because it was really slow, and I just was not in the mood for something that was slow building. So it was really a struggle for me to actually get into it, but once I did really enjoy it, and I think that the setup for the next book in this series is amazing, and I think the second book is going to be absolutely fabulous, so I'm really looking forward to that one. But for now, I give this one a 3 out of 5 stars. The next book that I ended up reading is By Your Side by Casey West. I was once again lucky enough to receive an ARC from the bookstore that I work at, Indigo. Thank you to them again, they are the best. But I was so excited for this one when I heard about it because it's a romance all about a girl who gets locked in a library with a guy. Like, that's just the ultimate dream. I wouldn't really want a guy there, I would just want the books there, but whatever. It just sounded like the setup for something absolutely adorable. And I have read, I read P.S. I Like You by Casey West, and I wasn't a huge fan of that one. I just don't think that it was really for me, but this one I ended up really loving. I loved the characters. I identified with the main character so strongly. Like, I even marked off a couple of passages because I just was like, yes, like I totally understood what she was saying, and I just think that this book was great. It was cute, but it also did have an impact. Like, I don't really like books that are just cute and fluffy and whatever. I do like there to be a little bit more going on, and this one definitely had that, and I'm so excited for you guys to get this one. It is coming out on Valentine's Day, so I will have a review going up closer to the publication date. And also, I obviously gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. And the last book on this list, like I said in the beginning, is one that I actually technically finished in December, but I did start it in November, so I'm still counting it here, but that is Frostblood by Ellie Blake. I received this one once again when I went to Indigo's home office, and this is a local author. She actually lives in my city, which is pretty rare for like local authors, at least where I'm from, to be picked up by like big publishers, at least in the YA department. So I was super excited about that, and I was really looking forward to reading it, and I did actually end up really enjoying this. It does suffer from a lot of typical tropes, which is really my only problem with it, but I did really enjoy how the story was structured. So it has like this binary that the story's built around, and I think that that kind of alleviates some of the suffering that it has from the tropes, because it does have this really different binary of hot and cold, and that's like you have these Frostbloods and you have Firebloods existing, but the Firebloods are really persecuted. So I think that it was really interesting in the way that she did it, and the magic system was very interesting. But like I said, my main complaint is that it did have a lot of tropes, but at the same time I thought it was really good. The writing was really great. I enjoyed the characters, and I was really pleasantly surprised because I was a little bit apprehensive at first. So I ended up giving this one a 4 or 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I will have a review going up closer to the publication date, which is in January. I'm not sure of the exact date though. So that is all for my November wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys read in November, or if you've read any of these books, your thoughts on them, and yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!